Hola, hola. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And Ellen Greenberg. It's been the topic of conversation lately. A woman that passed away in 2011. And at the time, it was ruled an unaliving. And it's resurfaced because people are saying this thing doesn't make sense. She was, how old was she? She was 27 at the time. She got 20 stab wounds and was ruled an unaliving, but people have wildly said it's suspicious. Now, she was born in New York City, New York City, June 23, 1983. She had a degree in communications from Penn State University and teaching credentials from Temple University. She was a first grade teacher at Juanita Park Academy in the Juanita neighborhood of Philadelphia. She lived in a Manayunk neighborhood of Philadelphia where she shared an apartment with her fiance. And so, on January 26, 2011, there was a blizzard and she left her job and went to her apartment. At approximately 6:40 p.m., Greenberg was pronounced dead as a result of 20 stab wounds, including 10 to her back, 10 to her back, 10 to her neck. There were also 11 bruises and various stages of resolution on her right arm, abdomen, and right leg. And the person that discovered her was the fiance, Samuel Goldberg, who returned from the gym to find their apartment deadbolted and knocked down the door after trying for an hour to reach her. Why didn't he have the apartment keys? If they were sharing this apartment, why did they not have access to the apartment? I don't know. And so the crime scene, they ruled it an unaliving. And it says here the Philadelphia Police Department deferred with the conclusion saying that the death of Ellen Greenberg has not been ruled a homicide. So things have changed recently. It's gotten kind of weird. Let's start out with this. Let's listen to the 911 call from Samuel Goldberg. Oh, sorry.
I just help. I need a missing out. I just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no!
Apartment.
It's an apartment. Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No. So you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
Yo, these operators, I just can't, right? Like, we covered the one recently. It was Chad, right? Where, like, this psychopath, shot and killed all 3 kids. And the mother calls 911. And she's, like, screaming and hysterical. And the 911 operator, hello? Ma'am, hello? Ma'am, ah! Ah! Ma'am, hello? I don't know. But this one, she's like, you need to get yourself together.
I don't know. I can't tell.
No. So you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know.
That might be true, too.
I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell
Ellie!
where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, I think. But
Hit her head. Bro, she stabbed 20 times.
it's everywhere.
Okay, so
it's everywhere.
Think she might have fallen? Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
What's wrong? I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was locked.
And honestly, if it was me, if I was really in a strenuous situation, I'd probably curse the operator out. I know that's not what am I thinking? I know it's not a productive thing to do, but I would probably say bitch or what the. I'd snap. I'd probably snap. I don't know.
my fiance's inside. She wasn't answering, so after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. Like she's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do, okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back.
I mean, it's preferable. Your fiance's dying, bleeding out. Yeah, maybe even if you don't know, follow the instructions that the lady's telling you.
Clear her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? Kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir.
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no.
Well, how do you know she stabbed herself? Why would that be the first conclusion that you come to? Like, if I found my fiance or family member stabbed, like a knife and bleeding everywhere and stab wounds, I'd be like, probably somebody did this shit. Unless there was a history of like mental health and whatever, you know.
Sir,
okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no. Her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
Knife sticking out of her heart, bro. That's like so like.
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her here now. I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator? 277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, sir, what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay,
how old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
She's Ellie. She's not. Her arm, her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean.
I know, but you can't. And the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything. Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything.
They're like, motherfucker, you sus. Yeah, don't touch nothing. You sus.
I can't believe this though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside. And I'm yelling. So I'm
was
yelling.
Your house
and
broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601.
Wow, Mamma Mia. Let's check out what Nancy Grace. And Nancy Grace interviewed the parents.
Breaking news tonight.
Please,
bombshell.
send the link to my location right now. Please. No.
All right, pause that already. Okay.
A beautiful young bride-to-be stabbed 20 times, including in her back, the back of her neck.
I'm surprised. Like, how did police come to the conclusion initially that, like, okay, she just killed herself in the front and the back, multiple to everywhere?
Actually nicking the dura of her spinal cord, the back of her head, the top of her head, all over her body. It was ruled a suicide.
What?
A bombshell in that case. And tonight, her family breaking their silence.
And you know what the interesting thing is? Apparently, somehow there's some controversy with Josh Shapiro. And it's funny for the people that try to run from politics. You can try all day. It's here. Somehow, even in murder, like Governor Josh Shapiro reviewed as PA Attorney General may have hurt VP chances. I don't know. We'll talk about that later, but somehow he was in this thing to reported several of Shapiro's actions while serving as PA AG are receiving renewed attention, including the death investigation of Ellen Greenberg. So, I don't know. Somehow he got pulled into this. They reviewed the case and doubled down that it was unaliving. This chick 10 times in the front, 10 times in the back. And he's like, no, this is unaliving. This is one of the potential people. We know now that this guy didn't win, but he was one of the potential VP picks for Kamala. Somehow there's politics in this too.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Beyonce's on the floor with blood everywhere.
That's the 911 call we just listened to.
Oh my God, she stabbed herself.
That's just such a odd response. I don't know, to finding your fiance, your loved one. Unless this person told you multiple times, I want to off myself, I'm going to kill myself, or whatever. Why is the first thought in your she stabbed herself?
Taking out of her heart.
How did he know immediately
Yes,
that Ellen
Nancy.
stabbed herself? Because I would never think that my husband stabbed himself. I just wouldn't believe that. So what was on the crime scene that suggested a suicide? Now, hold on. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I want to listen to that 911 call because, as many of you know, there's nothing like a 911 call. Why is it significant? Why is it critical? Because that is the most probative, in other words, proves something, evidence that I know of. Because it takes a jury or a listener, such as ourselves, back to the moment the crime is discovered. In this case, it was ruled there was no crime, that it was a suicide. I find that very difficult to believe, and I'll tell you why. But first, listen to more of the 911 call.
4601 Flat Rock?
Yes.
What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. Like she's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down. I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay, you are hearing the voice of Ellen Greenberg's fiance, who says, and let me understand that I've got these facts correct. Joining me an all-star panel, including Ellen's parents, Sandy and Josh. But to John Lucy joining us, a journalist for PennLive.com and the Patriot News of Harrisburg, also the author of Kill the Story. John, thank you for being with us. The workout room was in the building, correct?
Yes, there was a workout room in the building. And just to get the semantics right, when he comes back up, it wasn't bolted. It was a latch similar to those you find in a hotel room that swings over and clasps, but you can open the door a couple of inches. You know, it wasn't a deadbolt. It was a latch like that you find in a hotel room. So even if he would have the key, he'd be able to get.
Look at this from this Fox article. Investigators found a half-made fruit salad on the countertop and signs of a struggle, including that the knife block had been knocked over. What?
Open the door a few inches, and those latches are easily defeated. In other words, there was some debate in the physical evidence whether the door was actually kicked in to dislodge that latch, as he described on the 911 tape. That's one of the many anomalies among the evidence.
And I want to be very clear. We are discussing why this case was not fully investigated. Why there are so many gaping, glaring holes in the investigation. Just for instance, the knife found plunged into Ellen's chest was never fingerprinted. The
What?
crime scene was not kept pristine. The apartment manager was
Hey, Nikki.
allowed to bring in a cleaning crew before the scene was ever processed. Items such as Ellen's laptop. Wait, where's all the blood? There should have been blood everywhere. But there's not. Was there some sort of a cleanup? We believe the body was moved before police arrived. That's what I'm going to bring in Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics. But the question is, why has this case been stymied? Why is it that the then district attorney's office, the then attorney general's office, the then police didn't want this investigation to go forward? Why did the ME then change the mode of death from homicide to suicide? Why did that happen? What happened in the interim? There's just so much. But in the last days, there has been a bombshell. I want to go to Sandy and Josh Greenberg, Ellen's parents, who I now consider to be my friends. They are broken. They are practically broke because they have spent their life savings fighting this suicide
Life-saving,
ruling.
wow.
And you can find them at GoFundMe, Justice for Ellen. Sandy and Josh, thank you for being with us. And I want to apologize right up front for replaying the 911 call. I don't know if you are desensitized to it yet, if you've listened to it so many times, but I want to apologize. I hate.
B10, what's up? Thank you for the super chat. Says she stabs herself. Sounds like a Karen Reed. Did I hit him? Right. Emily, thank you for the 15 months. Says Mel, did you get a soundboard or have always had that? Either way, oh Lord. I've kind of got it recently within the last couple of months. I'm still working on adding clips. But yeah, thank you. And B Tim, thank you again for the 5 and the membership, man. Thank you. What Mel you never seen self unaliving make themselves a snack and not finish it before they do the deed. That's true. That's a good point. That's weird.
Hate dragging you through that, but it's evidence we cannot ignore.
Thank you, Nancy. My perspective on this whole thing is the fact that we have worked so hard and done so much and now reached a really crescendo or epitome of success in some fashion, that this has made up or has softened the blow of losing our daughter. We still have that there, but instead of being in the corner and crying or howling like I do when I go to the cemetery, we have done something. And we have done something that no one else has ever done in a case like this. And we've gotten farther than anybody in a case like this. So with the help of our attorneys, Mr. Pedroza and Mr. Trask, we are very happy today in some fashion. I know that may not make sense to some people, that we should be grieving. We grieve, but we also have a mission. We have a purpose. And you can see in those pictures who she is. Recently, I've had 2 lawyers, one working for the state of New York and one working for the state, not for the state, one is a criminal defensive lawyer, tell me I should fire my lawyers, I should stop spending money, I'm not going to get anywhere. And as we're going to discuss today, we have really got this case as far as we can go in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I believe. I'm not an attorney either.
Well,
And
I have to say, you do have a success today. For over 13 years, you and Sandy have been fighting this suicide ruling. And in the last days, a momentous turn of events. You've been turned down by every court, by every
Everybody.
prosecutor, you name it. Sandy, in the last hours, you and Josh, Ellen's parents, have achieved something that has never been done before in that jurisdiction. And that is, you are going to be allowed, finally, after 13 years, to challenge the suicide ruling. Does that mean it's going to be ruled a homicide? No. Does that mean that there is a person of interest or a suspect? No. It means that there may be an investigation of your daughter's murder.
Correct. Yep. Which I never expected to get such great news and to advance this far, but I'm not giving up. She was someone that we were raising to be the best possible version of herself, and poof, she's gone. We'll never be grandparents. We'll never have grandchildren, but I want to make her proud of us. I hope we are.
I want to ask you something, Sandy. I remember the day that you and Josh and I went to the cemetery. And I walked up to where Ellen is buried. And you, but especially Josh, hung back. You could hardly even bring yourself to walk up to her plot in that cemetery. And then you couldn't speak. Why is it you couldn't bring yourself to walk up to that headstone?
It's hard to believe that that's where her body was laid to rest. And weeks after, she had died in the wintertime, and weeks after, I'd be driving at night and it's rainy and cold and nasty. And I think of my child's body lying in the box in the cemetery with all this nastiness all around her. And I just can't believe, she's just been completely eliminated.
This is not we expected to be at this time or to get to this time. We wanted a quote unquote normal family. We wanted Ellen to be happy. We wanted her to have a relationship like we do. I mean, I don't know. We don't really discuss this very often, but most marriages don't last after an incident like this. And we're now going on our 45th year.
Of marriage.
So there's a lot here that we don't speak about. But we have fought for Ellen. Justice for Ellen is the term we use. It's a term, maybe it sounds like a cliched term. I don't know how it sounds to other people, but that's what we are doing. And that is something that we have, that keeps us solid, real people together. And even as a team, it helps us as a team. I'm talking about with attorneys we work with Mr. Brennan, who we work with everybody. It keeps us going as a team.
Okay.
Inside her home, multiple stab wounds to the back of her neck, but investigators insist she took her own life.
Or if this happened before, can you stab yourself like that multiple times in the front and back? And it's just like you offed yourself in a like slow, horrible, painful way, and you just kept stabbing yourself?
In life, instead of getting to know her through autopsy reports and police reports and what friends say and what her parents have told me, this is a little bit of what I know. Listen,
Ellen Greenberg is a first grade teacher in Philadelphia. At 27 years old, she and longtime boyfriend Sam Goldberg have just sent out save the date cards for their upcoming wedding. A blizzard is bearing down on Philadelphia and school has dismissed everyone early. And on her way home, Ellen stops to fill up her gas tank. Once she's home with her fiance, Sam Goldberg leaves around 4:45 p.m. to work out in the apartment complex gym. When Sam arrives back less than an hour later, the door is locked from the inside.
Joining me is renowned forensics expert Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, star of a hit series now, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, this is going to be very difficult for you, but in a one-word answer, did Ellen Greenberg commit suicide?
N-O, no.
Just like
Impossible.
that.
Impossible. The first time I read this file, the first time I read an article long ago about the ruling, the suicide ruling, I believe I immediately called you. Because how can anyone, stab themselves 20 times that we know of, and we also know about the phenomena of...
Where's Samuel at now? Where's Sammy at? What's going on in his life? How's he living? And what's up with him? He's probably shitting bricks right now. I don't know if he had any involvement or not. I'm not saying that. I don't know. But the whole thing is kind of sus and suspicious. It is a little sus. Kind of, Sammy, where you at? Got a new wife and kids and all that stuff? Or maybe you got a new husband and boyfriend or whatever and adopted kids. Where's Sammy at?
Overlapping stab wounds where someone is stabbed in the same spot. We're dealing with that with Brian Kohberger's case right now. So there may be more stab wounds, but I'm going to go with 20. I'm going to go with 20. How can you stab yourself 20 times? And I had to write these down in preparation for talking with you this morning, Joe Scott Morgan, when at least three of the stab wounds could be deadly. For instance, stab wound E, as in elephant, certainly fatal. Stab wound H, happy, fatal. Stab wound number 2, very likely fatal. Stab wound K had to be inflicted with a serrated abrasion. But I find that the wounds are diametrically opposed to each other regarding
It says he's living pretty good from what I'm hearing this morning.
Trajectory path. In other words, there are vertical stab wounds, there are horizontal stab wounds, there are oblique stab wounds. One that bothers me the most, actually two, is the one basically on top of the head. How do you attack yourself on top of your head? And the wound where her dura of her spine is cut. How do you do that to the back of your neck? And then last and most importantly, some of the wounds were inflicted post-mortem, after death. Her heart.
So what she did, like what are they trying to say? Her nervous system still kept reacting after death?
Heart was not beating. How could she keep stabbing herself? I mean, how?
How now, brown cow?
The thing about stab wounds, Nancy, is that every time an edged weapon is introduced into somebody's body, a pain center fires. So over and over again, you mentioned the number 20. So, and even for our listeners that are following this case, and many have for now these many years, you can identify with just a paper cut perhaps at home and how painful that is. If you can imagine a serrated edge, and that's what we're talking about, just like a steak knife, okay? And it's roughly a 5-inch blade. You have to do the conversion from metric, roughly a 5-inch blade. You've got this running along the surface. So let's just take,
I need to see
for
Joe Scott
instance,
Morgan right now.
if
Okay,
you
it
just
just got
take,
slow it down for me.
yeah, sure.
No, it's
If-
like I'm fine.
one of the very curious things, Nancy, is the fact that you have a blade that is entering the chest, and there's a couple of these along the way where you're talking about the blade is going from right to left, then from left to right. And here's one of the really curious things. There's one of these injuries that actually the trajectory takes it upward like that. Okay, as opposed to
Which one
another
is that?
deflection.
Which one is that?
I'd have to refer back to my notes at this point in time, Nancy. But if you go to H, for instance, it's 4 centimeters deep, and you're talking about from left to right. However, if you go to, let's see, which one was it? I had it right here.
Wait, but I've got to ask you a very fundamental question. And this is from a lawyer, not a medical professional. Josh Sandy,
crazy.
Ellen's right-handed, correct?
Ellen was right-handed.
Yeah, we've asked that before. Yeah.
Okay, are we sure? Because I've been told she's right-handed.
Yes.
Are we sure Ellen was right-handed?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. You sure did. You sure did. Jessica Morgan, some of the wounds are left to right, which I completely understand if she's right-handed. But how do you do, in addition to all the steps to the back, and to the top of the head, and to the back of your neck?
Yep.
How do you stab yourself, if you're right-handed, from right to left?
It's almost empirically impossible to do this, Nancy, because you're talking about a readjustment of the blade on the plane that it's on. So you have to spin the knife in a particular direction in order to achieve this. And that's why I go back to this idea of the pain centers that are firing. So in the midst of all of this so-called frenzy that would have come along with a suicidal self-inflicted stab wound, you're having to readjust the knife backwards. You would invert the knife and then pull it back to the original orientation. In addition to that, and we're talking about now the injuries that are posterior on the backside. I don't know how.
Okay, wait. I think I just figured out what you were saying. You know what? You're going to have to work on your testimony, Joe Scott, because it took me that long to figure it out. I think what you're saying was, let's pretend I've got the knife. To get those serrations on her body, she'd have to take it out of, she'd have to take the knife and turn it around and commit the next stab.
Yes.
And that is because we see which side of the knife is cutting her. So she'd have to, okay, here's an example. You know how there is the American and the European mode of cutting your meat?
Is there? I didn't know that.
Europeans allegedly hold the knife and the fork, and they never swap. The American style is you swap, you cut the knife, you cut the meat with your right hand, you put down the knife, you take the fork out of your left hand and put the meat to your mouth. You swap back and forth, right?
Correct.
That's what you're saying would have to happen here for these serrations to be performed by Ellen. She'd have to turn the knife around and then continue stabbing herself.
I don't know that you'd have to turn it around. I think if you had it a certain way, you could just go like this. I mean, it's wild to even conceive it, but like this, and then put your arm behind you, just but still, it's I don't know.
That did not happen. And again, there is
Unless she was high on some really strong shit. I don't know how somebody
no person of interest. There is no suspect. All there is a big stinking mess because this case was not investigated. Tom Brennan joining me.
Can I please add one more thing?
What?
Okay. Could
I stop you? No.
Yeah, sure you could. But one of the biggest faux pas here relative to this report, and you're breaking a norm here with this autopsy report. Nowhere in this autopsy report are the length of Ellen's arms mentioned. And when you're talking about, and I've been involved in over 7,000 autopsies, Nancy, and anytime you're talking about knife wounds and you're talking about self-inflicted events, you have to measure the arm length to see if this is even possible for this to occur. This has never occurred in this autopsy. We've talked about this in the past. And so I cannot understand why in the world they would not have taken the time to do a shoulder. Why in the world they would not?
Joe Scott, I thought you were waxing philosophic again on the art of a medical examination, but I've never heard that mentioned before. The length of her arms were not taken into consideration, or whether she was right-handed or left-handed. Hold on. Hold your thought. Tom Brennan joining me, private eye consultant for the Greenberg family. He's been on it from the beginning. Tom Brennan, in a nutshell, what happened? Every time we get together and talk about this case, I learn something new, like Joe Scott just describing the length of her arms was not taken into account, and that is critical. Benet Nauer came up with the fact that at least 3 of these wounds, along with Dr. Michelle Dupree, were fatal, but yet she kept stabbing herself. In addition to the impossibility of killing yourself over 20 stab wounds, if 3 of them were fatal and many committed post-mortem. My question to you, Tom Brennan, thank you for staying on the case, but the question is, what happened in between the medical examiner naming this a homicide and then suddenly going, oh yeah, scratchy, I've now decided it's a suicide. What happened in the interim, Tom Brennan?
Well, what you have to understand, there were 2 meetings, unrecorded meetings, okay, between the medical examiner and the police. Oh. And one meeting was with a member of the district attorney's office, the police, and the Dr. Galino and Dr. Osborne. Okay, and at that meeting, that's when Dr. Osborne decided he was going to change his findings from homicide to suicide. Okay?
Okay, hold on. John Lucy joining me from PennLive.com. Did I just hear John Lucy, Tom Brennan, state that?
Kitty says his family is friends with the Shapiro guy. If I remember, the boyfriend called him almost right after this, too. Ooh, we're going to have to read about Shapiro.
After the homicide
Dr. Shapiro
ruling, the medical examiner met with law enforcement and suddenly changed his mind. Did I hear that?
Yes, you did. And the most powerful thing that has come out due to the Greenberg family's persistence on this case is they have been able to get those medical examiner officials under oath in sworn depositions in which both Osborne and Galino spelled out the fact that these meetings occurred. So it's on the record under sworn deposition that these meetings occurred. And in addition to the U.S., the PA Supreme Court case challenging the cause of death ruling, there's another civil action by the Greenbergs alleging a cover-up among the detectives and the ME's office in Philadelphia. And they are now in the process of moving forward with depositions in that case, which is finally going to get some of the detectives under oath so they can be questioned about what happened at that crime
I want to see this
on the night of her death.
I want to see if we get to see that.
Please join us on our mission to
Greenberg. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court agrees to review the case amidst a controversial ruling.
Controversial? Well, that's certainly one way to put it. Can we just all agree? And if anybody on the panel disagrees, jump in. How many times do I have to tell you we're not having high tea at Windsor Castle with Charles and Camilla? Jump in. Number 1, no fingerprints were taken on the knife. Number 2, no forensic tests were done on the door. Was it really latched? Was it really, was it broken into? What really happened? Was there any evidence taken regarding fingerprints on the rest of the cabinets? Was luminol ever used? Why was her laptop and her cell phone taken from the apartment? Why was the cleaning crew called in to clean the apartment before it could be fully processed? There are so many questions. And most important in my mind, what happened in that closed door meeting with the medical examiner and members of law enforcement who ruled it suicide on the scene before any investigation? What happened in that meeting? Joining me an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, more of the 911 call. And remember, no one has been named a person of interest. No one has been named a suspect. But I can tell you this was not a suicide. Why has this case been suppressed? What is it that law enforcement, I'm talking about the district attorney's office, I'm talking about, yes, I'm saying it, the attorney general's office. Why don't they want this case investigated? What's the problem?
Listen to Shapiro.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do, okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her.
Oh, God.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, okay.
You willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they
I have to, right?
Okay.
As if it's an option. Now, you know what, sir? If you decide not to, and maybe she's possibly alive, you could just let her die slowly. You don't really have to, you know.
Get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? I'm gonna rip her shirt off. Okay? Kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Allie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell on a knife. Oh, no. Her knife's sticking out.
What?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
So many things are jumping out at me from that 911 call. Number one, when the caller is told to try to do CPR, the caller says, I have to, right? Then the caller says, OMG, she stabbed herself. Where did that come from? Number three, the caller says she fell on a knife. She fell on a knife. No, the knife's sticking out. Fell on a knife. That's a unique theory. Okay. Again, I cannot reiterate enough that no one has been named a suspect or a person of interest. I want to go back to John Lucy joining us, journalist for PennLive.com, and followed by Benet Nauer. John, who do you understand to have been at that meeting where the medical examiner
was Shapiro there?
Suddenly had some sort of an epiphany and named the multiple stabbing a suicide?
Based on the deposition of Galino and Osborne, there were detectives who were handling the case who were pressing their own version of evidence of suicide. And the things that are named in the deposition as their evidence is the lack of defensive wounds on her hands. In other words, if she was being stabbed by an assailant, you raise your hands and you have stab wounds on the hands. That was one. And the second thing that was mentioned by those detectives to the ME's officials to change the ruling was the locked door, the latch, the hotel latch, which may or may not have actually been broken off on both sides to enter that room. And again, it all goes back to the night of her death. And for whatever reason, those responding detectives treated it as a suicide. And they bought into the narrative established on the 911 call that was a suicide. And they did not preserve the scene to be fully processed. And by the time that the ME ruled it a homicide, and by the time the detectives got back, you're right. It was cleaned by a professional cleaning crew. And even the video that the hotel manager shot of the apartment as it existed before the cleaning, that has been subsequently lost. That was turned over to police, and now that tape of what existed in that apartment before the cleaning is gone as well. And that's all on the record.
I don't know, man.
The bizarre case of Ellen Greenberg.
Let me understand something to you, Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, death investigator, and author. Were her fingernail scrapings ever taken? Do we know?
No, not to the best of my knowledge. No.
Hey, nothing. So what's up with Shapiro, right? This guy that is the governor for Philadelphia, I guess. Right? It was Philadelphia. Shapiro was almost going to be, people thought he was going to be picked for a VP by Kamala. And so, as a potential vice presidential candidate, Governor Josh Shapiro has come under scrutiny for a review his office conducted of one of Philadelphia's most perplexing death cases while he served as state attorney general. Conspiracy theories swarmed online over the weekend about Shapiro's involvement in reviewing the death of Ellen Greenberg. So she died in her apartment, 2011, stabbed 20 times. And the case was ruled a homicide, then switched to unaliving. I think it's actually the opposite way around. I don't know. But okay. For 13 years, Greenberg's parents, Joshua and Sandra Harrisburg, have fought to get the manner of their daughter's death changed back to homicide or undetermined. Okay. Maybe that was the sequence. They amassed a cadre of forensic experts who questioned the unaliving ruling as first detailed in March 2019. Shapiro's involvement in the case began when Pennsylvania Attorney General's office was tasked with reviewing it in 2018. His office stood by the city's 2011 unaliving ruling in 2019 and continued to do so through 2022, when it referred the case to another office after critics claimed Shapiro had connections to the Greenbergs' fiance's family. What? Allegedly.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
So the office insisted that there was no conflict of interest. A spokesperson said at the time they referred it due to the appearance of a conflict. Shapiro himself has never publicly spoken about the case or his office's investigation into it. But as he is in the national spotlight as a potential running mate, misinformation about the case and Shapiro's involvement in it are spreading. Meanwhile, the case is tied up in the legal system. Last year, the Commonwealth Court called the city's investigation into the case deeply flawed. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court agreed to take up Greenberg's civil case against the city. We'll cover the civil case another time. So, we know that Greenberg was found by her fiance, Samuel Goldberg, in the apartment with a 10-inch knife lodged into her chest. And, let's see. No signs of an intruder, no defensive wounds. They discovered 20 stab wounds to Greenberg's body, 10 to the back, along with 11 bruises of various stages of healing, and ruled her death a homicide. Police publicly disputed the findings, citing mental issues Greenberg may have had. The medical examiner's office later changed the ruling to unaliving. That's what I wondered. Were there any kind of mental issues, any history? Do we know anything about that? Greenberg was dealing with anxiety, had met with a psychiatrist, and was prescribed anti-anxiety and sleep aid medications. Greenberg's psychiatrist told police Greenberg felt overwhelmed at work, but there was never any feeling of unaliving thoughts. And according to the medical examiner's investigation report, there was nothing indicative of unaliving found on her computers. She did not leave a note. In reversing its homicide ruling, the medical examiner's office relied heavily on what it said were the findings of an outside neuropathologist, Lucy Rourke Adams, who allegedly determined Greenberg's spinal cord wasn't damaged by the wounds to the back of her neck, which would have allowed her to inflict subsequent wounds on herself, including the final plunge to her chest. So, to the back, no, to the front, to the back, and then one last time into the chest. But nobody has ever been able to produce the neuropathology report or an invoice for it. And Rourke Adams previously told Inquirer that she had no recollection. How the hell you got no recollection of the case? So what's going on here? You don't remember this shit and you made a ruling on it? She had findings? What? Okay. All right. When Kressner became a Philadelphia district attorney in 2018, the Greenbergs reached back out to their old lawyer to see if he reopened the investigation. Kressner referred the matter to the state of AG's office, then held by Shapiro. To avoid appearance of conflict of interest, Shapiro's office had the case for more than a year. It was only then the Inquirer pressed the office for answers. Shapiro's spokesperson at the time, Joe Grace, said in a 2019 statement that the office had conducted a thorough investigation and evidence supports unaliving, and the AG has closed the case. Grace pointed to search history on Greenberg's computer that included search terms like unaliving methods and quick unaliving and painless unaliving, which the way she went, there's no way that was painless and quick. There's no way that was an inefficient method. When asked why the medical examiner in April 15, 2011 report said nothing indicative of unaliving had been found on Greenberg's computer, Grace said his office didn't find the analysis in the DA's file. We cannot say if anyone, police, or prosecutor ever looked at it. And then Dr. Rourke had no independent recollection. So weird. Still, the office believed there was ample evidence that the neuropathology exam happened based on a line about it in the autopsy report and statements from two detectives. Oh. In 2019, Greenberg sued the medical office, the examiner's office, and the pathologist who conducted the autopsy, seeking to have the manner of their daughter's death changed back to a homicide or undetermined. Additional details about the case came to light through civil lawsuit, including Goldberg's call to 911, new information about the unusual process around how Greenberg's death was classified, and new testimony about whether one of the wounds to her neck was possibly administered after she died. In late 2021, a lawyer for Greenberg delivered depositions and other records obtained as a result of that civil suit to the AG's office, which was still run by Shapiro, in the hopes it would reopen the case. But at the time, AG spokesperson Molly Steiber said the information brought to light no new facts in the case, and the office stood by the unaliving. What the hell? Shapiro, what's up with you, man?
And that's
you have heard. You've heard bandied about that there were no defensive wounds.
Mm-hmm.
What say you? And also, what do you make of markings on Ellen's neck and multiple bruisings across her body in various stages of healing?
Yeah. And we refer to those in forensic pathology as resolution. And so you've got multiple areas of small bruises, contusions that are in various stages of healing throughout the body. And that's certainly very interesting. And I remember asking Josh and Sandy years ago, I think we had a conversation. I said, did Ellen have a problem walking or a problem with her gait, or is some kind of inner ear problem where she had some kind of problem with balance? She's bouncing off of walls and furniture and all, and they couldn't come up. They said, no, that wasn't the case. So, why would she have? And I even wanted to know if she had some kind of disorder, blood disorder or something. Maybe she's just spontaneously bruising. I have no idea, but none of that can be proved.
Back to the markings on her neck. Weigh in.
Yeah, when we're talking about markings on the neck, Nancy, that's something that is so crucial relative to their current status at autopsy, relative to how fresh they are. Are they going through resolution at this point in time? And I think that it's very important in this case because the neck on anyone that is being stabbed is a point of contact where a perpetrator would place their hands on somebody's neck. It's a point of control in order to drive a blade into somebody's body. That has to be examined very, very carefully.
To Sandy Greenberg, what do you make of the fact that no luminol was ever used at the scene? The scene was cleaned by professional cleaners. Her fingernails were never scraped. And I firmly believe that there is evidence her body was moved before police or first responders got there.
I'm horrified that she was treated so poorly, and I'm embarrassed for the Philadelphia Police Department. They wouldn't do that to if any of their children were in this situation. They wouldn't be treated like this. She paid taxes, and she deserves the same justice and the same attention that everyone else gets or should get.
I'm just very curious. John Lucy joining us, journalist, Penn Live, and the Patriot News of Harrisburg. Why her fingernails were never
it. She investigated it, and she's the first one to put on the record in a sworn deposition that the spinal cord wound had no bleeding associated with it, meaning it was a post-mortem wound. And that is all on the record in the sworn depositions that the Greenbergs have secured as part of their lawsuits.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know. Mysterious case. This was from 2 days ago. Let's see.
Teacher found dead with 20 stab wounds are feeling hopeful today.
It's really good for the world to see how this is playing out.
Ellen Greenberg's death was ruled a suicide, but now, 13 years later, the state's highest court has agreed to hear arguments in the case.
We don't have justice as long as they say she committed suicide.
In 2011, Ellen was about to be married. Her fiancé told authorities he went to the gym in their apartment building in Philadelphia for only a half an hour and came home to find Ellen lying on the kitchen floor.
My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere. Please come help now.
Sam Goldberg told the operator he thought she may have slipped and hit her head.
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off.
Oh, my God. Allie, please. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no. Her knife's sticking out.
Ellen had 20 stab wounds, 10 on the back of her neck, 1 to the scalp, also stabbed in the abdomen, and 8 times to the chest. Ellen's death was at first ruled a homicide by the medical examiner's office, but then was later changed to a suicide. Now the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has agreed to consider the case. The news is a long time coming for Ellen's parents, who have spent the last...
Yeah, that's sus, man. I don't know. Something ain't right. I'm not right with that. We'll have to see, I guess, what other updates come from that. My typical Nancy Grace comment now doesn't work through YouTube. Really? What, does YouTube block it? Do you get blocked, Booler? Booler! Thank you for the 5, man. Appreciate that, bro. I was trying to get you up on the screen here. Okay. Amazing. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, by the way, Friday, Karen Reed, I know some people are probably tired of that, but Karen Reed does a motion to dismiss some charges or whatever. Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here live streaming it. Tomorrow, I thought there was going to be, what's her name? Corey Richens? Corey Richens. There was supposed to be a status hearing, but I think it got canceled. That was going to be for tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe to all the YouTube pages. I have 3 YouTube pages right now. We're up and popping, getting everything rolling. So we got the Chase channel and we got the political channel. Okay. Politics. All right. Also, on the main page, I did something that might be kind of fun. I don't know. I enabled this thing called Top Community Clips right here. So when you go to clip something on when you're watching me, a live stream or a video, there's an option on your phone to clip it. If you go and clip it, it's going to be added to my front page. So I was going through some of them today on which page was it? I think it was the Chase channel. Because I added it on the Chase channel. Some of these are pretty funny. I was going through some of these. So if you want to get involved and be a part of it, you want to have your thing added, shows your name and stuff to the clip thing, you can do that. Top Community Clips. It's pretty cool. Should I click it? Don't click it. No.
Is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know if she
is only on the ticket because she's a black woman.
Yeah, so if you want to clip those moments we have on live streams, you can go ahead and do it, and it will appear on the front of my YouTube page, and your name will show up there too. So I think it's kind of cool. We'll try it out for a little while and see. I thought it was kind of a cool way. You want to clip stuff and you want your name popping up or whatever. I mean, it might be kind of cool. Have a little fun with it. Lost like 10, 15 subs from that shit. I was just playing the clip. He said it. I didn't say it. Did they even check for her blood in the gym or tub? I don't know. Something seems really botched about that investigation. It's really weird. I feel like they should pull up the investigators if they can. I don't know if they're alive. Pull up the investigators from that time. They need to investigate. What's going on with that shit? Really sus. And eventually I'd like to do, I mean, I shouldn't say, but I hope to do it like 2 streams a day at least. We'll see. There's a lot of behind the scenes things I'm trying to like get in order, but one on iCkEdMeL, one on the political, and then if chases happen, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, type of thing. By the way, a real quick reminder, I don't know if we covered this briefly. This kid that beat this teacher, silly, apparently this kid was sentenced to 5 years. I don't know if you guys remember this. This kid that beat this teacher like multiple times, he got 5 years. Yeah. Well, that's all right. He should have got something. I think they should start locking up all these wild kids. Because they're a problem for the teachers. They're a problem for like us with our kids in school. They should start lock them up. Just lock them. Some of these people you can't help. Lock them up. I'm not gonna let these people start beating on the teachers, start beating on the kids. We're just sitting there watching. Lock them up. Put them in jail, juvie jail. Put them for a while. Lock them up for a month or 2 months, whatever. They start acting up. They don't want to know how to behave and shit. Lock the parents up too. Fuck it. Lock them up too. Yeah. 15 probation though. I saw that, Donnie. Woody's back on a stand. Well, as far as Ellen Greenberg, we'll keep following. And if there's an update, we planted to see it already with the story. We talked about it. So, all right. But thank you guys for watching. Take care. Peace. If there's a chase or whatever, I'll be back tonight. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop.